It's an almost expected feature in console first-person shooters. So, how does Halo measure up?
We have 13 different levels, different maps for multiplayer, ranging from Capture the Flag to what we call Slayer, Deathmatch, and what we call variants. There's 5 different game variants, and you can configure and create new game experiences based on those variants. So you if you don't like the ones that we shipped, you can create your own.
But how does the game actually play? Is it even possible for a title to live up to this amount of hype? Well, it's in our humble opinion that not only does Halo live up to the hype, it surpasses it. Smooth graphics, responsive controls, and a far-out storyline combine to make this one of the best titles of the year. With one game, the Xbox has come out shooting, proving it can play with the big boys. It's now abundantly clear, Xbox and Halo are a force to be reckoned with. Venture from Rare, the makers of GoldenEye and Banjo-Kazooie. And while this title borrows portions from Zelda, Pokemon, and even Street Fighter, the final result is an RPG unlike any other. Cameo, the eponymous heroine of the game, is a young girl with the unique ability to capture and train the wild monsters which roam her magical world. Using her monstrous gift, Cameo embarks on a quest to save 6 elemental children from the evil bosses who hold them hostage. Using a magical gizmo, Cameo can capture wild monsters and add them to her growing menagerie. These creatures can then be trained and nurtured, eventually evolving into brand new monsters with enhanced powers. Cameo can then choose to send her best beasts into battle, or actually morph into her chosen monster to get directly involved in the fighting action. Cameo is a bizarre title, which should appeal to Pokemon trainers and RPG fans. But the biggest factor in Cameo's favor is that it's being made by Rare, a developer which hasn't disappointed game fans since it started coding for the Sinclair Spectrum back in the 1980s. Cameo is certainly one to watch. There was the Texas Rattlesnake, or the People's Champion. There were the legends of wrestling, and now Acclaim has immortalized the world's greatest grapplers on the PlayStation 2.
The man with the largest arms in the world, Hulk Hogan!
If you're like some of the staff here at Cybernet, you relish the thought of seeing your favorite superstars of yesteryear battle it out one more time to become world champion. Unfortunately, most of these heroes have retired their bruised and battered bodies. But with the miracle of modern technology, they can once again suplex their way into fans' hearts and imaginations. Gamers can choose from 42 superstars like King Kong Bundy or George the Animal Steel. Even everyone's favorite Fijian, Jimmy Superfly Snuka, is on offer. And of course, there's a character customization so you can put yourself in the ring with these giants. Oh, nice coat. Unfortunately, the nostalgic feel derived from seeing these old-timers in action only goes so far, as you'll soon tire from its less than stellar gameplay. The wrestlers in Legends appear bulkier and almost plastic compared to its modern-day counterpart, WWF SmackDown, which favors more realistic modeling. Also, the controls are awkward. You'll spend most of the time concentrating on the corner of the screen to know when to counter a move or perform signature finishers. This requires proper timing using a meter, similar to those used in golf games. Legends of Wrestling could have been a great game. What should have brought fans to their feet with pulse-pounding excitement sadly puts us in a sleeper hold. Not even the immortal Hulk Hogan can turn this one around. Coming up with good ideas for video games is hard, and underwater submarine battles are great. That's why Aquanox is at 10. Flying a helicopter must be really hard, but in Comanche 4 at 9, it's pretty easy, so long as no one's shooting at you. Our number 8 pick is Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon, because it's so realistic and the villains like to cook. That smells good. Roller coasters are fun to ride, and building them is great too. At 7, Ultimate Ride gives us all that without that sick feeling. At 6, football is always fun to play, but for those of us who prefer controllers to cleats, FIFA Football 2002 gives us a hand, or foot. If you think dating real people is hard, these simulated ones are worse. Sims Hot Date has us asking for its number at 5. Tired of knights and monsters in your RTS games? Number 4 brims with samurai madness in Battle Realms. At 3, Rock Manager inspired us to start our own band, but we realized that we play video games much better than music. The only scary thing about Monsters, Inc. Scare Island at 2 is just how much fun it is to play. Our favorite, though, has to be the frantic multiplayer action of Return to Castle Wolfenstein at number 1. The era of interactive entertainment is upon us with billions of dollars at stake. So perhaps it was only natural that Gates would attempt to leverage his tremendous technological resources and grab a piece of the gaming pie. And usually what Bill wants, Bill gets, which in this case was a powerful multi-featured dream machine.
The Xbox represents the next generation of gaming platforms.
Okay, enough with the hype. What exactly is inside this black beast? Well, to begin with, there's a 10-gigabyte hard drive, an NVIDIA graphics unit, and an Intel 733 MHz processor, all capable of producing up to 125 million polygons. Plus, there are 4 game controller ports and an Ethernet card for broadband gaming. How's that for next generation? To prepare the gaming world for the arrival of the Xbox, Microsoft staged a couple of very impressive events. In America, where the Xbox went on sale last year, gamers in Los Angeles and New York were treated to Xbox Unleashed, a 48-hour continuous gameplay marathon pitting gamers in head-to-head competition. In LA, hundreds of players jammed the Universal City Walk to see what the fuss was all about. Winners walked away with keys to a Ford Explorer, which came with a built-in Xbox. Who said that playing games doesn't pay? More importantly, it marked the first time gamers were exposed to the Xbox, and titles like Halo, Fusion Frenzy, and Dead or Alive 3. The Xbox certainly seems to pack a punch in the graphics department, but for many, it's the controller that makes all the difference. Before design work began, Microsoft spoke with thousands of gamers to make sure they got their controller right.
Most people are telling us is once they get their hands on the controller, they feel it's really comfortable, easy to use, the buttons are easier to access. What we try to do through the game experience is make sure that we remove all the filters that help create the suspension of disbelief. That allows you to do is become more immersed into the game. You feel the rumble when you take a hit, and that's really exciting. So it's all about making the game experience better.
We're off to the south of France next, where details of the European Xbox launch date were announced at a special event called X01. French designer Pierre Cardin's magnificent hilltop mansion in Cannes provided a spectacular backdrop for the occasion. On the first night of the party, attendees were greeted by a green light, and as they got closer, tribal drum beats filled the air. Talk about a freaky scene. A wild band supplied the pulsating rhythms, while the outrageous lighting effects seemed right out of a Pink Floyd concert. Later in the evening, on a massive array of monitors, a blast of game images flew by, featuring all the major upcoming Xbox launch titles. The next day, X01 guests were able to explore the exotic residence and gear up for a full day of gaming. Along with the press, many well-known developers were on hand, including Peter Molyneux of Black and White fame. Game publishers occupied each of the bubble-shaped rooms, displaying demos of the games they had developed for the Xbox. Everyone expressed enthusiasm for the chance to create games for the new console.
They've got, a new canvas to paint their games on, and this canvas is bigger, it's wider, it's deeper than they've ever had before.
From the beginning, Microsoft faced a tough task of making people aware of the Xbox, as well as ensuring the games would match up with the best on the market.
I think we've come a long way. We're showing final code that people are sort of salivating with disbelief over. So I think that this is the proof of the pudding. This is what we've been working towards, and that's why everybody's so excited.
A new console on the market is always a major event, but no matter how much is said about the product, Ultimately, it will come down to how much enjoyment people will derive from playing the games.
Try Halo, try Oddworld, just try Jet Set. You know, once you're playing them, then you realize how wonderful they are. I can talk and talk and talk, but once you play it, you'll see.
If nothing else, it's quite apparent how important the video game market and the Xbox are to Microsoft.
I have the same sense of excitement about these products as I did about the original PC, or I did about the original version of Windows. I personally can't wait to get my hands on an Xbox.
The Xbox launched in Europe with 20 titles, ranging from sports to action to just plain odd. And Cybernet will be there with reviews for every one of them. Once again, it's a three-horse race in the video game industry, but with a worldwide fan base growing daily, chances are they might all end up in the winner's circle.